streaming live. And you could as well get onto Twitter, and you could as well subscribe or give us a following rather, and see what's going on in the studio. Get onto the Facebook page wall, give us a like, give us a following, and see that indeed we give you that television feel. And that's why we say that at Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, we give you an audio-visual radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. Well, I see the head of marketing department. He's right here and is giving a smile on his face. But that's just what it is. I mean, put a smile on your face whenever you have the opportunity. Things may not be going on smoothly just now, but yes, we need to stay on the positive side. Now, what are we looking at today? We're looking at, quite a number of things. Like I always say, we're looking at things that border on the Nigerian system, the Nigerian structure, right? And something that holds on to the effective insecurity solutions for Nigeria. Looking at effective insecurity solutions for Nigeria, where just recently the federal government or the Federal Capital Territories Administration, that's talking about the FCTA. Well, they've put out recent efforts to addressing insecurity in Abuja, and these efforts have sparked concerns about the human impact of their measures, right? The Directorate of Road Traffic Services, DRTS, the decision that they made to crush confiscated commercial motorcycles we call Okada, and the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council's, that's the AMMC exercise to clear shanties and remove criminals from the inner Northern Parkway have displaced over 2,000 individuals, including women and children, right? Now, the recent jailbreak as well in Suleja has also brought to limelight the deplorable state of Nigeria's prisons. Furthermore, the Nigerian Senate's approval of the death penalty for drug traffickers raises questions about effectiveness of capital punishment and its potential implications for human rights. This and many more what we'll be looking into today, and all of these raises some critical concerns, some critical concerns coming from the lips of quite a number of Nigerians right there as we are asking questions, and these questions very vital matters that concern the dilapidated structures that we have, or the almost 100 years old structures that we have as prison, infrastructure or structures today, and what should have been done. Are we just really doing the right thing, or are we just playing to the gallery? I've got my guest who's on standby via phone call. He is in a person of Dr. Austin Maho, and he's a lecturer. He's a public affairs commentator, a publisher, Daybreak Nigeria newspaper. Dr. Austin Maho, welcome to Eagles Outlook this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
Nice to be here again.
Awesome,
Nice
Dr. Austin. Been quite a while, but I understand that you have a lot of engagement and all of that. Yeah, it's good to reconnect with you again. Well, Dr. Austin,
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, quite a number of things going on. I mean, FCTA trying to address insecurity in Abuja. This has sparked a series of, events that raise critical concern about human impact of these measures. If you recall, on May 9th, 2024, the Directorate of Road Transport Services, DRTS, made a decision to crush confiscated commercial motorcycles known as Okada, and as a means of curbing insecurity, right? That has also raised skepticism on the part of the masses or Nigerians, and the displacement of over 1,000 Okada riders who probably are the breadwinners for their families without providing an alternative livelihood, or support system, some are saying may inadvertently drive them to more desperate and criminal means of survival. Furthermore, we've also seen the Abuja Metropolitan Council, Management Council, that's talking about the AMMC, exercising to clear shanties to remove criminals from Ina Northern Parkway, and that has displaced about 1,000 individuals, not excluding women and children, who we have attested to always bearing the brunt of such activities. Now, this is also another issue of are there plans for for relocation and all of that? Are there any provisions for rehabilitation? And you might also want to consider the fact that the jailbreak issue that happened in Suleja, talking about what happened at the Suleja prisons right there, where we had due to dilapidated infrastructure or structure, we saw how the flood swept off the fence of that structure, which, by the way, has stood there for 100 years and was built with mud was what it was built with. Well, in fact, it's laughable, I tell you. The Senate's explanation that the prison walls collapsed due to heavy rainfall and storms leading to the escape of inmates is a stark reminder of the need for some modernization and adequate facilities and all of that. And quite a number of soldiers have been tasked with the responsibility of maintaining law and order, in these issues. Now, if you try to maintain law and order and you're faced with, dilapidated structures that would give way anytime, for the buildings where prisoners have been held to get back into the society, we don't know how progressive that might be. And finally, just yesterday, the Nigerian Senate approved a bill that introduces the death penalty for drug traffickers, and this bill, which amends the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Act, that's the NDLEA Act, is aiming to strengthen the agency's operation, updating the list of dangerous drugs and review penalties. When you put all of these together, Dr. Austin Maho, what comes to your mind?
Yeah. What comes to my mind is a desperate attempt by the government to address, critical problems in society that has to do with, the state of insecurity generally. And of course, our state of unpreparedness over the years to deal with this issue is beginning to unravel. We are beginning to see that as a country, we have never been ready to deal with critical issues of state development, insecurity, to deal with it holistically. You made mention of the situation in Suleja. It's not just the Suleja prison. It's not just Suleja prison. It's almost all the prison facilities in most parts of the country. Many of them are colonial establishment. They were most of this prison, like the Suleja prison, was established by the colonial administration. And you begin to wonder, what are we building as a country? When most of the structures we inherited over 100 years ago, I'm happy you are the one that said the Suleja prison itself was built with mud. The flood came and swept off the place, swept up the front, the perimeter fence of the prison, which led to a prison break. You begin to ask yourself, what are we building? What do we do? What is our focus as a country? The individuals put in charge of these facilities, what do they do when they go? Don't they do when they go to work? Don't they do an appraisal of these facilities? Is report not given to appropriate authorities to say these facilities have been compromised, these facilities have been here in the past 100 years? What remedial measures have been put in place to address the obvious default in these facilities before a flood came and swept it off? It's not just Suleja prison. There is also the Lokoja prison that is a colonial establishment inherited from the colonial administration. And I think Benin prison, Mina also, and others scattered across the country. The only new prison that has been built in Nigeria that I know of, correctional facility that has been built in Nigeria, at least in the last 30 years that I know of, is the one in Abuja.
Right. Yeah.
And when you compare the rate of crime in the country, or just basically you look at the population of the country, what we have in the country currently as population figure, and what we had, match it with the crime rate, and ask yourself, are we building structures along the line of the population growth? Are we anticipating that if we are 50 million today, or like today we are 230 million, and has been projected that in 50 years time will be about 400 million, are we putting structures in place to take care of the additional population growth? These are critical questions we need to ask ourselves.
Right.
In other words, if you are not planning ahead, it means failure is a certainty. So Nigeria as a country, we have not been planning, and this is what is on display. This is what is unraveling. This is what is showing that those who have been our leaders over the years, they have planned to fail. That they plan to fail because they've not put structures in place to address the future which we are facing now.
Yeah.
And that again dovetail into crushing of motorbikes you are talking about in Abuja.
Yes.
Abuja is supposed to be a federal capital territory. And Abuja is supposed to be one of the best planned cities in the world. I've traveled across, it's unfortunate what is happening. I have traveled across many cities in Nigeria. Abuja seems to be the only capital city in Nigeria as of today, correct or wrong, where motorbike is still being used as a means of transportation.
Right.
Many state capital is forbidden. Even in my state, in Edo, that I know of, I don't see bikes anywhere, whether in the city center, whether in the suburb, it's completely banned. There's no definite policy as a date within the FCT to say bikes are banned.
Right.
It's not. You say you can't use bikes within the city center, but in the suburb, and at times in certain part of the city, you still see bikes being used as means of ferrying people from one point to the other. It's obviously a failure of planning. It's obviously a failure of government inability to put in place an effective transportation means for residents of the city. Evidently, these people are rendering essential services.
Indeed.
But the question is, when you measure it with the security situation in the country, you are going to find out that it's a double-edged sword. How do you manage security when you allow some level of when you allow some level of transportation means that many people have identified as fueling, insecurity, because many of these bikesmen have been known, to contribute to the insecurity situation in the country, because it's easy for them to act as spies because they're able to gain access to certain parts of the city that some people are not able to gain access to. They're able to, maneuver their way where cars cannot. And I listened to the new commissioner of police, FCT, that's Ben Igwe, and he has said that most of the kidnappings happening around the suburb of the FCT, they are being carried out, with the aid of bikes, and that there are areas, especially difficult terrains in Abuja. These hilly terrains, on the fringes of the city, and that he himself has gone to this area and he found out that there are bike routes where kidnappers used to pass through to attack the FCT, and they find it very easy to make a get out gateway through this route also. So this bike issue is one the FCT administration need to take a critical look at. If you are going to allow them, there should be a definite policy.
Okay.
And that policy should take into consideration the security concerns of a lot of people. Where you fail to do that, you've allowed a very fluid situation that criminals are exploiting, to perpetrate crimes within the FCT. I don't know if you are aware, just within this week alone, at times the media gets tired of reporting this issue. There were 2 cases of kidnap in Buhari Area Council.
Exactly.
Buhari Area Council. 2 cases of kidnap. In one, a lawyer and his wife were kidnapped. In the second one, about 4 individuals were kidnapped. The media didn't play up this issue because I'll call it media fatigue about reporting, on this same issue over and over and over again. And when you listen to testimonies of those that were affected, or those that were victims, or those that were witnesses of this event, they have said that the attackers came with motorbikes. And that is why the use of motorbikes as a means of transportation, and many of these motorbikes, we know they are not registered to particular individuals. So if the government is going to take active measures, they know what to do. But I will always advocate for an outright ban of the use of motorbike. Government, is the duty of government to provide effective transportation means for residents of the city.
Well, yeah.
The use of motorbike over time is supposed to be like some kind of stopgap measure, but it has become regularized, normalized. It's an abnormality. Nigeria is the only country in the world where we use motorbike as means of transportation. It's not done. It ought not to be so.
Yeah, Dr. Austin, I'd like you to add your voice too to the displacement of persons, which number to over 2,000, especially with the demolition that's going on of shanties. Do you also think that that's a way of ensuring security for the Abuja metropolis?
Daniel, if I said a lot of people will not be happy to me, but I'm just going to echo what El-Rufai, who was former minister of the FCT, said about, when he was minister, I think that was about 10 years ago, he said, everybody cannot stay in Abuja. And that's the truth.
Right.
Everybody cannot stay in Abuja.
So in other words, Abuja is not meant for everyone.
It's not. Everybody, Abuja is made for everyone.
Okay.
There's freedom of movement, constitutionally. But we have to accept that everybody, I'm not saying Abuja is made for some people, but what I'm trying to say is that everybody cannot stay in Abuja. If you can stay in Abuja, you have a job, you have a roof over your head, and you have a reason to be here. Of course you can stay in Abuja.
Okay.
But you cannot leave the comfort of where you are coming from and come and stay under the bridge in Abuja. You become a social nuisance, a nuisance to the society, to the environment. And when you create such situation in a city like Abuja, you are only increasing the rate of criminality, because it is easy for these people to be recruited into crimes in Abuja, where you have a situation, you don't have a roof over your head, you don't have a job, you don't have any meaningful means of livelihood. It's easy for criminals to recruit you into their criminal activities. So the point I'm making is, everybody cannot stay in Abuja.
All right.
If you don't have any means, any reasonable means of survival, look for something reasonable to do.
I would like you to
I believe that is why I am with the government. These areas need to be cleared.
Okay, I would like you
for
to
the
also
safety of other residents of the city.
I would like you to also, add your voice to the issue where the Nigerian Senate has approved a death penalty for drug traffickers, and also the fact that only recently, as a piece of information, additional to the discourse, the special forces have been rejected by the northern politicians, and they have, said that this allowing for the special forces is a threat to national security, and that it undermines the country's ability to combat insecurity. Keeping in mind the fact that it is still Nigeria that goes out there to the international community saying that we need special forces to combat, issues of, the kidnapping, banditry that's ongoing and ravaging Nigeria. What are your thoughts there?
Let's start with the death penalty for drug traffickers, which is an amendment of the NDLEA Act.
Yeah.
Prescribing death penalty for drug peddlers. I support it.
Okay.
I support it. I don't think as a country we should allow drug peddlers, to take over the future of our youth. Drug has a way of destroying the future of a country. If you understand what I'm trying to say. And there's always this. Sociologists will tell you that there's always this correlation between the rate of crime in a society and the rate of drug abuse. In fact, many of the criminals we find in our society, whether they are Boko Haram terrorists, or they are kidnappers, or they are just the people we spoke about now living under the bridge, many of them perpetrate the crimes they are committing under the influence of drugs.
Right.
We cannot live in a society where drugs and drug peddlers and drug users, take over the street. What an individual will do under the influence of drug, he won't do it, under normal circumstances. And that is why, because of that correlation between drug and crime, there's need, to make the penalty very stiff, to discourage drug peddlers from taking over our society. Then you equally spoke about the recent protest against the Nigerian government, when it was being alleged in certain quarters that the American and French forces that were displaced from Niger Republic, they want to establish a base, a military base here in Nigeria. That issue has always been there. There has always been this suspicion that the Americans want to establish their African forward military command in Nigeria, because we knew they already had a drone facility in Niger Republic, and the military junta in Niger just expelled them from Niger. And one naturally would suspect that the next port of call is Nigeria, because they have always wanted that. In fact, that base that was set up in Niger Republic was supposed to be set up in Nigeria. So what next? So Nigerians have reasons to be apprehensive. Nigerians have reason to be suspicious. Nigeria have been fighting Boko Haram for the past 15 years, and the situation is not abating, but rather it is. And the West, Middle of Europe and America, have promised us severally to aid us in fighting and eliminating terrorism in our country. But their promises have only ended up in paper. Nothing concrete has been done. And the issue of the Tucano jet, where Nigeria paid about $2 billion to the American government to supply us with Tucano jet. And we know that it took several legal hurdles before those military planes were eventually supplied to Nigeria. Even if you read the stories and the condition they gave to the Nigerian army on the use of those military Tucano jet, it was even better that Nigeria didn't even acquire them at all, because it has not really aided. Before you can even fly it, from the agreement Nigeria signed with the US government before they deliver those jets, before they can be flown, where you can use them to attack, when you almost have to get the permission of the American government that you are using it like this, like this, like what kind of help are the, when you put all those together, what kind of help has the American government really given to us in the fight against terrorism? It's more about lip service than actually helping us. And terrorism is on the rise. It was restricted to the northeastern part of the country, but now we know that the northwest, the north central, almost the entire country, is now engulfed in one crisis or the other. So the American government, Nigeria have a reason to be wary of the American government, because if you have been saying that you are going to help us all these years, you've never really put your foot down in terms of giving us the technology, the intelligence, or the material, military equipment we need to be able to confront insurgency. Right. Is it when you now build a military base in our country that the situation will be different? Many people actually feel. And don't forget, let's say this while we are talking.
Yes.
The United States, currently as we speak, is building the biggest foreign mission in Nigeria. Is building the biggest embassy as we speak in Nigeria. So you begin to ask yourself, why are they so interested in Nigeria, yet they are not willing to help us economically, politically, to put this country on the right footing, to be a pride of the black nation. We are not really seeing that. So when we say when Nigerians are campaigning against the American government having a military foothold in West Africa, in Nigeria, I support it fully. I don't think Nigeria should go that route at all.
All right.
For now,
yeah,
because there's no obvious benefit. It benefits the Americans because once they are here, they give them a foothold to be able to spy on the country, to be able to do a lot of things that benefit their country. I for now don't see any benefit coming to Nigeria as a country by allowing them to have a military base in this country.
All right, just to add to what you said, the United States is building a new consulate general in Lagos, Nigeria, which will be the largest U.S. consulate in the world. And of course, yes, and its location is the new consulate will be located at 12.2-acre site in the rapidly developing Eco-Atlantic City on Victoria Land, Lagos, right? And the cost is actually $537 million US. That's the cost. And then it brings to mind that if you had $537 million US to invest, what's wrong with investing $537 million in tackling insecurity in Nigeria? Well, anyways, let's put a peg to your thoughts, Mr. Dr. Maho. Pay some bills. We'll come back and then we'll take reactions from Nigerians. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
No AC, no problem. We're cooling you down with the freshest hits. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
You're still tuned in and locked into Eagles 102.3 FM. Eagles Outlook, the political and current affairs prog show on this platform that allows for you to join your voice and add your voice in a more civil and responsible way on issues that bother Nigeria. And today we are looking at a topical issue that concerns the effective insecurity solutions for Nigeria. And we're taking into thought some of the issues that bother around the destruction of about 1,000 motorcycles, or Okada as we know. It's here, and the place of demolition shanties and the displacing over 2,000 individuals, and the place of the structures that we have put in place to hold those who have caused insecurity in the society, talking about prisoners, right? And talking about the prison structures too as well. The state of these structures, which some of them have stood for over 100 years and even built with mud, right? And we're also talking about issues that where the Senate's approval has come for, the death penalty, for drug traffickers, raising some questions about the effectiveness of capital punishment and its potential implications for human rights. And we also touched a little bit more, into the issues that border around the refusal of having, the special forces having to come and give what they term and deem as aid in fighting insecurity by the northern politicians, as they've rejected that call for a special force. And we want to know what your reaction would be, as you can as well engage the conversation by calling the studio number 0907 353-0044 or 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. And our guest has been none other but Dr. Austin Maho. He's a lecturer and a public affairs commentator, a publisher, Daybreak, Nigeria newspaper. We've got a call. Let's take it. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Dua, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Edward.
All right. Honorable, welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I actually appreciate our guest there. Whatever he said is right. Particularly concerned, I'm telling you, the ACT. You see, the problem we have in Nigeria is very simple. Our state governors. Our state governors are our problem. Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Our state governors, Ms. Odua, let me tell you the truth. The truth is that I am from Benue State. And if you go to Benue State, you discover that the local government, I can't remember when last my local government given a contract to construct a covert that someone who is a mason or who is a laborer or who is a carpenter will go there and take this in and take something home for a living. While those guys in Abuja who are mason, who are carpenter, who are laborer, a laborer in Abuja is driving a car genuinely, and he will come home on Christmas or anything, and even give them money or marry a good wife. The children are doing well. If you are the one, can't you move from State to Abuja?
Right.
Nothing is happening. My brother, I tell that my brothers there, there's nothing that's happening in the state. So we cannot blame these people in Abuja. It is better. I really pray for federal government to amend this constitution so that this money will not be sent to the state. Because nothing is happening. Okay, some people in Abuja here, I've lived in Abuja for more than 30 years.
Right.
Some people in Abuja, they don't have an office. They go out the money, go to gardens, that conducive gardens here that you can have a meeting, transact business. Some of them are doing land business. They have houses, they build houses, their children are doing well. Where is the garden? In Makodi, my state, where is the garden? A garden that you can call someone, a white man or a black man, to have a conducive meeting with him.
Okay, all right, Honorable Edwards.
Yeah. Death penalty is the best thing that has ever happened to this country. Because at the same time, I'll blame the governor. Why are they not doing? They should kill us from this. Why are they not doing that? Someone will kill and the person will remain the same, or they will be released.
All right.
Due to political reasons.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Honorable, thank you. Well, Dr. Austin, how would you react to this?
What he has said is that the problem of Nigeria is state government, because if the state, the subnationals, the state, the local government, if they are doing well, if they are actually centers of business activities, everybody don't need to go to come to the federal level to look for opportunities. This is right. And that is why, apart from holding government at the center accountable to the people should equally hold the state government accountable.
All right,
to do the right thing. To create opportunities for their people, to be able to make a living.
Let's take this
But
call.
I still stand by what I said, that everybody cannot live in Abuja. If you're in Abuja, you have something meaningful you are doing, fine, you can stay in Abuja. But if you are in Abuja, you are looking for you are looking for a space under the bridge to live, or a garden to turn to a home, you don't have any.
All right, let's take this
to
call.
be in Abuja.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Rudy.
Yes, good morning to you, please.
Good morning, I guess. My name is Abubakar calling you from Gwagwalada.
All right, Abubakar, welcome aboard.
Your guest submissions.
Yeah.
I'm not here to contradict him. He's entitled to his own opinion.
Right.
I will start my contribution with raising a question. Will America allow any superpower to establish military base in our own backyard, in our own country? Establishing military base, for a country to allow military base to be established by another country, is out of weakness. Why can't we, if there is political will?
Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Abubakar.
If there is political will, we should increase the defense capacity of our military. We should eliminate act of sabotage in our military. We should be sincere and face the insecurity headlong without managing the fight against insecurity, because there are several interests in fighting the insecurity. Some people don't want the insecurity to be brought to an end.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much right there. And yes, I see this one via the Facebook page wall. Is coming from Abdul from Suleja. Says, good morning, UD. Good morning to you too. It says, how's work? Okay, work is fine. It says, Nigeria's problem is too much. Our so-called leaders have failed. May God help Nigeria. All right, Abdul. It says, all the way from Suleja. Let's just take this and then we'll get back to you, Doctor. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning, the guest in the studio.
All right.
Mr. Francis from the 9.
All right, Francis, where are you calling from?
All the way from Masaka.
All right, Masaka. Let's go straight to the point.
I think based on our guest in the studio, coming to Abuja is not for everybody. Yes, I think the other way around, I agree with him. So, and that is boils down to the restructuring that we are talking about. Because if you make the local government viable, give local government full autonomy, devalue the powers, let the center be weak, and let the tax be paid to the center, that you concentrated everything on Abuja. Everybody wants to go where it's happening. Because that's the federal capital territory. So that's why I say I agree with him on the other side, but on the other side I do not agree. So coming to issue of security, this issue of America and this and that. Remember that when Ejirika was the main chief of army staff, he was fighting the local ranks and there. There are some people from the law can say that Ejirika is killing their people. So which one are we doing? Are we ready to fight it? Are we not ready to fight it? So let us discuss this nation. If you want to live as one people, let us live in unity, in love, and in peace. If not, this country, I don't know where we are heading to. If you want to pass, let us pass in peace. Let us stop deceiving ourselves. Let us stop beating around the bush.
All right.
Please.
Thank you, Francis, for that one. Stop beating about the bush. And yes, we're still having that conversation, and it is gathering strength and looking from the place of bringing about an effective insecurity solution for Nigeria. And our guest is Dr. Austin Maho. Well, Dr. Austin, let's just look around. The issues of this talking about the capital punishment for those who indeed in the drug peddling system. Right now, the matter. Some persons have said that this might, it could be an infringement on human rights. They're citing human rights issues, and that there should be a soft peddling, in matters like this. While others are in support of these, and while some others are saying that it should not just be about those who manufacture or peddle the drugs, it should be about those who consume the drugs. And in fact, the final aspect to this would be the place where there are calls by quite a number or a cross section of Nigerians saying that, hey, don't stop this at the drugs. Go to other places. Look at those who are embezzling monies, those who are stealing the Nigerian money, looting, laundering. As long as they are being charged and they're found guilty, give them the capital punishment. What's your take on that?
Capital, at times, those who consume drugs, you can look at the chain. When it comes to the issue of drug, there are those who produce hard drug. Mm-hmm. And when we talk about hard illicit drug, we are mostly talking about the ones we call psychotropic substances.
Okay.
Drugs that alters mood, behavior. You understand what I'm trying? And we know them.
Yeah.
Hard drugs is the general name for all of them. And when you look at the chain in terms of drug, there are those that produce, there are those that peddle, and there are those that consume. You can split it into three: the producers, the peddlers, the consumer. And often the consumers are victims. So
the consumers are what?
The consumers. The way I see that, at times, most often, the consumers are victims.
Oh, victims. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Victims. But the main culprits are the producers and the peddlers. And I feel that in application of this law, it is the peddlers mostly, because the producers of hard drugs, they are not in the country. Maybe
okay.
I'm apart from growers of marijuana, and I don't think the punishment by death for some of these drugs we are talking about, I don't think they extend to marijuana.
Okay.
But when we talk about hard drugs like cocaine, heroin, the producers are not in this country. The problem we have are the peddlers.
Okay.
So when you institute, very stiff penalty for the peddlers of this drug, I think it will go a long way in curtailing, in checking drug-related activities peddling in the country. Okay. And if you look at the statistics from NDLEA,
right?
The situation is becoming the drug is becoming worrisome, because there seems to be an astronomical rise in the rate of peddling and consumption of drug in the country. And government need to take stricter measures. And apart from going after these people, legislation also helps.
Right.
And by legislation, I mean making it, putting stiffer penalty in place for those who are pushing drugs in this country. And I feel that's the way to go. Added to that again is the fact that what I said earlier, there's always, sociologists will tell you that there's always a correlation between the rate of drug use in a country and the rate of crime. If there is growth in the rate of crime in Nigeria, for instance, you are equally going to find out that there will be a corresponding growth in the rate of drug consumption. Right. And that has been those who came up with this policy.
Hello?
Graph.
Yeah.
They look at the rise in the use of drug in the country. And many of these peddlers, what you find out that when they are arrested, and the NDA go through years prosecuting them. At the end of the day, they get just the slap on the wrist, and they go back after they've served 2 or 4 years. They go back to their criminal activities. So I think the penalty to dissuade people who are into this business should be stiffer.
Okay.
And that's the way to go. And that is what the new amendment to the NDLEA Act is trying to do, which I fully support. Anybody that would not support it is not fully aware of the devastating effect of drug peddling in the country and how it is aiding the rise of criminals and criminal activities in the country.
Yeah. So do you agree that there should be an extension to even those who loot and embezzle money, especially found guilty?
That debate has always been there. You know, you look at and in some countries like China, the death penalty is reserved for corrupt activities. Has it worked? Will it work in our climb? Will such legislation will it ever scale through our National Assembly that you should make corruption, carry the death penalty,
especially found guilty?
Much as it is, yes, much as it is desirable, I don't think it will remain a dream in our own climb. I don't think the National Assembly, whether the current crop of legislators or the ones that have been there in the past, they will ever pass such a legislation that will make it mandatory that if you are found guilty of corrupt activity, you should face the death penalty. They will never pass it. But again, we equally have to look at the fact that what kind of country are we trying to build? What are the legacy are we trying to establish? What do we want as the future? What do we want the future of this country to be? Are we satisfied with what is going on? And that is the purpose of lawmaking. Lawmaking is supposed to look at a society, identify a problem, and use legal legislative instrument to support the executive in dealing with the problem. But when we realize, for instance, that corruption is a problem, and the executive know that corruption is a problem, and you ask yourself, who are those perpetrating these corrupt activities? The people perpetrating corrupt activities, then the legislature, then the executive, then the judiciary. These are the critical 3 arms of government in a democracy, and you don't expect them to make a law that directly targets them as individuals. That is why it will be a hassle. That is why it is only in a one-party state, in an autocratic government. If you look at cases where you have death penalty for corruption all over the world, it's only in authoritarian regimes that you can implement such a law. But in a democratic government like ours, they are going to tell you that you shouldn't carry the death penalty. You should follow through normal, that there's enough law in our statute book to take care of it. Many of us don't feel that way, but whatever you feel, I don't think, even if you campaign for death penalty for corruption for them, it's not going to work. So there's no need belaboring the issue.
Okay. Well, let's take this one on our Facebook page wall. And this one says, Abdul from Suleja once again, your guest is 100% correct. Right? Americans are not helping our matters. That's what Abdul says. You can as well send your messages to the WhatsApp portal. I would, I would be there to take your message. But let's just get on to this very last one, Dr. Austin Maho. Just as you also put a cap to the conversation, and this would be. Do you think that we are on the pathway of putting together a long-term plan with all of these activities that we've outlined today in terms of, dissuading, people from having shanties, not just in Abuja, but across Nigeria, as Lagos State is also doing the same thing. And the place of banning the Okada, what we call Okada, the motorcycle, riders from having that trade, especially in Abuja, starting with, which you've mentioned that other states have also endorsed, such. And then the place of having the death penalty for drug traffickers. As you wrap up, is this a way to ensuring that we have a long-term plan in stamping out the other social, antisocial activities that we face in the country?
Okay, to your first question, set of questions, if measures are being put in place by government, to address,
if all of these are they addressing
in all of these other programs?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't see any measure being put in place to look at our correctional facilities and addressing the deficit. This is not the first time we are having prison break as a result of the dilapidated condition of these prisons. What has happened between the last ones that happened, there are about 4 or 5 years ago, till date? What measures have been put in place by government, to expand correctional facilities across the country and to kind of build new or straighten deficient ones? There's no measure in place, nothing. So government is not putting any correctional measures in place. And when you talk about transportation problem, that is why I said this motorbike, using motorbike as transportation means, and the decision of the FCT administration to crush those it has seized from those who are using them in unauthorized location. When you look at it, it's a double-edged sword. And like I said, everybody cannot stay in Abuja. But at the same time, you find out that these people are rendering a kind of are offering solution to a transportation problem in the FCT. So the question now becomes, is the FCT, if the FCT administration say, look, these people cannot operate because it is illegal, because it's not proper, because it's not good for the face of Abuja as a federal capital territory, what measures has the FCT administration put in place to offer an effective transportation means? I have not seen any. Nothing has been done. So often you find out that we are just being reactionary. And as a conclusion to my thought on the death penalty, I still believe is a big problem, and the amendment to the MDLEA Act has been passed. And I think it will go a long way in addressing that problem.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Austin Maho, for adding your voice in the discourse. You've been indeed very resourceful. We're hoping to having more conversation with you in the future. Thank you, far too kind.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here, Daniel.
Sure. All right, this is where we call it a close. I still see your calls coming through, and I'm so sorry I could not take your message as well via the WhatsApp portal talking about taking Behundu, but you are acknowledged. Thank you, far too kind. Each and every one of us that has added our voices, we have done well, and yes, we hope that in conclusion, all of these would indeed become the start points towards ensuring that